if you look at the price action of silver this year, I mean, in nominal terms, it has definitely outperformed gold, and that silver gold ratio has narrowed. For me, though, I don't really look at that for making my own choices, because it's about function. What am I trying to accomplish? What is the best tool to accomplish, that job? But I think silver has already begun, but it needs some correction because it's basically been straight up to a very wide degree. But nothing goes straight up, nothing goes straight down. You got to have some bouncing along the way and some profit taking, because remember, those are contracts. But even when you see this correction, I mean, you're a silver buyer, and we didn't talk about this before, so you could say something different, but I know from my personal experience that I can't get any kind of silver that I want right now, because all that gold and silver that came off the markets, and now you even have traders standing for delivery. This next big push into it, what do you think that's going to do to the premiums, regardless of the spot price? Well, that's your hyperinflation. That's the reset of the currency, because people really need to understand that there's only one way to reset a currency, or at least that's been true for over 4,800 times, right? And that is by taking that fiat money that is backed by government promises, that has no intrinsic value, and revaluing it against gold money, which is all intrinsic value because it's used across the entire global swatch of the economy. So that is how a reset of the currency is done. And it can reset multiple times into that. I mean, just look at Venezuela and you can see that. So what does it look like out there? Well, it's the death of an entire system. It's not pretty. It's not a pretty picture, though not everybody is in those bad circumstances. In Venezuela, again, 90% of the population is in abject poverty. But I didn't say 100%, did I? Right? So those people that actually have the ability to hold their wealth in something that's stable, like physical gold, physical silver, well, wow, guess how many opportunities present because of all of those other people and entities that do not, and their wealth evaporates. Because what I've been seeing in headline news a lot recently is the questioning of the world reserve currency, which in reality started breaking down with the advent of the euro, which was actually created to take over as the world reserve currency. So, and it's been in 2002 was when the Federal Reserve first started buying treasury debt. So apparently there were not enough buyers of that debt. We had to step in. It wasn't discussed. I mean, you can go to the Fed and you can see it. So when you talk about the tie-in, the US dollar is still the most used currency in global trade, but it's lost a lot of ground. And when you look at big players like, China, who are sitting on a lot of US Treasury debt and have been getting rid of it, but they've been doing it slowly. And look at the escalation, and there's always a war around these regime shifts as well. And you look at the escalation that's happening, and you look at the fact that in 2009, the IMF revived their internal currency. The SDR just stands for special drawing rights. It's just a name. And they set up a substitution fund. So that means that if you're anywhere in the world and you own, a government, a sovereign wealth fund, a big kahuna, but you're sitting on US dollar denominated instruments like bonds or the currency or whatever, you could simply deposit it into this substitution fund and convert it into SDR and SDR denominated instruments. And then in theory, anyway, the IMF could determine how quickly they wanted to send those dollars back. This is the end of the shift, moving into a new shift. So they're going to give the population something to make it appear like happy days are here again, right? I mean, that was the big song back then, happy days are here again. You know, additionally, you can see it for yourself because around this major reset transition, they have all of these little spokes and they're really all interconnected. But one of the pieces that I found really interesting was in creating the ability to create new wealth. And I would really question that, because in anything that is like dynastic wealth, which is wealth that has lasted in families at least 300 years and survive regime shifts, survive wars, survive all this stuff, well, that's all tangible goods. It's the three stools are real estate, rare collectibles, and gold. Those are the three legs. And those three things, there is a finite amount of them. Because even though I can't guarantee tomorrow, I definitely believe that if something's happened the same way, as you pointed out, over and over again, and we're doing the same thing now, the most likely outcome is we're going to get the same result. So at ITM Trading, we really are about strategy. And going back to the right tool for the right job, you know, the strategy is designed to sustain your current standard of living so you can buy that food, as well as put you in a position to maintain your wealth in a truly diversified way. So if you are sitting in assets that are fiat money denominated in the stock market, a truly diversified portfolio, you got to have something that's outside of the system. So these are all key parts of the strategy that we execute at ITM. And that's really, we are a physical gold and physical silver house. We've been around since 95. So even in 2008, when many other firms could not get gold and silver, and even through March and April that we went through, we have very long-term relationships, and we have always been able to get, might have limited choices, but we've always been able to get gold and silver. So that's what we do. And that is the foundation of the Wealth Shield strategy.